I've mentioned the get magic quotes underscore GPC function, and now I'm going to be a little bit more clear about the functionality behind it. We've used the add slashes in other examples, namely the insert new, and I used it sometimes and I didn't use it other times just because it's pretty much basic code, and I just want to demonstrate that what could go wrong with this. Well, we want to avoid SQL injection, first of all. Basically, we want to actually escape certain characters that are going to be or could be added in fields. And I'll give you an example. If you have a form that takes a username and password, for example, a user could actually inject some SQL here to do some damage, and they could actually get into your database without having to actually use a username and a valid password. Meaning that if they send this without anything in the fields and it was accepted, it could go through and basically do nothing here. But if you do this and you add this slash and then you have this code here added up until the other end of quote, meaning that you put a backslash and a single quote in there, and this would be in between these quotes here for this particular field, meaning that the user entered what is highlighted with a backslash and then the single quote. Well, this is actually going to look pretty good to SQL, to the server. It's going to say, they're looking for this as a username, and they're also going to have the or 1 equals 1 condition. This is a comment in SQL, so all of this is going to be ignored. We're going to ignore the and password thing, meaning we're not going to even require a password. And since this username isn't in there, okay, this is false, but since we have an or here, 1 equals 1 is always going to be true, so you're going to have access to the database. So this is a basic example, but an example nonetheless of what you can do with SQL injection. And this is going to be in the injection underscore SQL.txt file that's going to be in your working with databases folder. In any event, you need to protect against things like that, but you do want to escape certain characters, and you can expect that these characters might show up with different names, like O'Reilly, for example. You want to add slashes. If somebody puts this into the fields, you want to actually add this in there. So you can do that automatically with add slashes, but this get magic quotes underscore GPC, and don't forget the underscores here as well, without any parameters here, this is going to automatically check to see if a certain parameter is set in the PHP-ini file. And that's going to be the magic quotes underscore GPC. And it's set on here. And this is a PHP 5 version, so it's on by default. We just did a find for that file with the PHP info function. So since it's on, and then we call these add slashes, for example, that's going to cause problems. Not this one because we actually check for it. But in this file, it's going to cause problems because it's going to automatically double backslash, because it's going to see a backslash, and it's going to add a backslash, thinking it wasn't escaped. And we're talking about escaping. So it would do something like this because the quote would need an escape and this would need an escape. So it wouldn't look so good. It wouldn't be correct. This is what it should look like when it goes into the database. So when a user enters this, we just want this to go there, just so we can properly escape for it. Well, what we do is this special if condition here. And what it does is, it's going to check to see if this is true. This is the key that's going to be used for this array, and it's basically going to be set to a value. And it's basically going to be set to a value. This is a function that returns true or false depending on whether that particular option is on or off. If it's on, then we're okay, and it's going to actually return a true, so we don't want to add the slashes. Colon is going to mean otherwise. If it's false, then we're going to add the slashes. You'll notice that I do this in this register, and I do it in other scripts that are similar to this, but not in that customer section, just because we do different things there. And like I said, we do different things there, and it's just a matter of working with the database tables. Plus, it's good to tell you now at this point, and it's something that you can look back on and say, well, you can modify that, so it's not a big deal to use this type of functionality, more robust. But the SQL injection itself can take up quite a lot of time to learn and learn the different type of SQL queries that you can actually look out for, and it just takes time to do that. You could probably fill a whole book or training program just on the SQL injection and also working with securing your websites and things like that. So it's something to definitely look out for. This is just an introduction to that. By all means, this is not the most secure code, but this is definitely going to help you out to prevent certain things from happening. You should definitely invest in some security information if you're doing something that's going to require credit card information and things like that. You'll see other ways to do encryption in these examples with password encryption, and you can apply the same thing if you needed credit card encryption, but you could also do something more advanced as well.